Hi everybody, it's Judy here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a monumental, messy task because I'm going to be repotting and restaking my Monstera Deliciosa. So if you want to watch me make a mess and have a chat to you guys about this while I'm doing it, then just keep watching. Everybody who has subscribed so far, you guys are amazing. Not long now and we'll be hitting 3,000 on my YouTube channel, and that's just absolutely incredible for me to think about, that there's 3,000 people watching my videos. Like, wow, that's huge, and I'm just so thankful for all of you, so thank you for watching. Alright, so I am going to repot this Monstera in front of you guys from start to finish. I say start to finish because I'm also going to be creating a moss pole. I was thinking of just doing it like before I started the video and just having it ready to go. But I did just want to show you how I create a moss pole. I haven't really done it with this method before, but I just wanted to show you how you can create a moss pole. This is not the one and only way to do it. There are many different ways to create moss poles, and this is just the way that I'm going to be doing it today. So I've got a blanket or a flat sheet spread out because I know I'm going to make a huge mess doing this. I would have used white just for better lighting and just for better contrast of color in the video, but I don't have a white sheet that I don't mind getting dirty. So we're just gonna do it this way. I'm gonna use this as a table, so to lift it up you guys can see a bit better. So I have already pre-cut the chicken wire. This is some chicken wire here, and this is a piece of wood. Now, it's probably not ideal to have this piece of wood. You might want to use like a piece of MDF piping. I don't have a wide enough piece of MDF piping for this job, so this piece of treated pine is just going to have to do. The reason why I say that this is not ideal is because wood rots, obviously, and having it wet constantly, I don't know, actually talking about it now, talking it through with you guys is the reason why you shouldn't do it with this piece of wood. Makes me not want to do it myself. So I'm gonna look for something else. I'm glad I talked that through with you guys. I don't know, it was a good idea in theory, but when I talked it through and realized why it wasn't a good idea, I realized it wasn't a good idea. I might use this pole that this Monstera is already on. Here we go. Now this one's a piece of wood that is well and truly treated. I had it outside for a while before, and then I brought it inside to stake up my Monstera, and it hasn't rotted or anything, so I think this one's gonna be fine. If I can take it out without damaging my Monstera, that would be great. Let's get a pair of scissors, lazy girl. Or not, or do it that way. Alright, so now this piece of wood isn't quite long enough. I'm gonna have it extending out just the end of the chicken wire there so I can have that bit in the soil, sticking in the soil. And to extend it out, I'm gonna use this coir pole. Now I will grab a pair of scissors for this one. All right, here we go. So I have a pole that's essentially a little bit longer than the piece of chicken wire itself. That's okay. I'm kind of making this up as I go. I've never made a moss pole this way before. I've seen it made this way before, and I know it's gonna work. Well, in theory, it's gonna work. So here I have some little zip ties as well. You can use string, you can use chicken wire, but I've got zip ties, so that's what I'm gonna be using. Now, I also have some pre-soaked sphagnum moss here. Now, you do not have to use sphagnum moss. I know that it's becoming more and more incredibly hard to come by these days. So you could even use cocoa coir or peat moss or any type of moss. Sphagnum moss is not like a must-have for this moss pole method. You can definitely use other things. I just think it's becoming more and more hard to come by because there's just a shortage of it in the world, and I think it's environmentally not friendly. So please don't come for me in the comments. I just had this. I'm not buying any more sphagnum moss after this. I'm just using it because I have it. So what I'm doing here is I'm just lining that chicken wire with the moss, and I'm trying to go up to the edges as much as I can and just laying it out evenly over that chicken wire and just trying to cover all the little holes, you know, but doing it evenly. So I have made these moss poles before, and my mistake was that I completely filled up the chicken wire with just sphagnum moss and didn't put anything in the middle to kind of like stabilize it. And my mistake there was, now the pole is like really super top heavy and kind of flimsy as well, because there's nothing in the center to stabilize it. So I feel like this is definitely a better way to fill up this pole, by having something in the center of it. All right, there we go. I used all the rest of that. I just had a little bit left in that box, so use that. All right, now I'm gonna grab that stick and have it extending out the end of it just a little bit like that, maybe a bit more. And taking that square pole and just having it maybe like, I'm gonna overlap it just a little bit because that end stick is still in that square hole, and I'll just have it maybe like that. It'll be fine. You won't be able to see it from the outside. And now what I'm gonna do is grab those zip ties and kind of roll it like a burrito. So I'm gonna start from the top here, and you're gonna have the wire kind of overlap a bit as well. So kind of like a sushi roll. You're gonna try and roll it as tight as you can, right? And once you're happy with that tightness, grab your zip tie or your chicken wire, whatever it is that you're using to tie it shut, and tie it shut. Got the first one there, all tight. I'm gonna do the middle. Ow. Now just be careful with this chicken wire, because you can cut yourself in the little pricks there. Oh, I just pricked myself. Got blood on my finger. That's fine, should be right. Just keep going. Just be careful not to poke yourself, because you can cut yourself on that chicken wire. Oh, I'm really bleeding. Second zip tie. So I hope this is kind of making sense to you guys. Like, I'm a visual learner. No one really explained it to me. I just saw it being done in a little reel video one time, and it kind of made sense to me. So this is how I'm doing it. Wow, I'm really bleeding. Put a band-aid on that in a minute. And one last one at the bottom here. And then I'll go through in between those zip ties and secure it even more. I just wanted to secure the top, middle, and bottom before I went through and secured it all together, all along. All right, I'm gonna put a band-aid on that before I start bleeding everywhere. All right, I'm back, all bandaged up. Now I'm just gonna go in with zip ties through the rest of those intervals, and secure the rest of that pole, and then we'll be ready to repot the Monstera. Now the reason why I'm giving this Monstera a pole or something to climb up is because Monsteras are actually climbing, vining plants. In the wild, if you've ever seen a Monstera in the wild, they generally climb up trees, and the higher up the Monstera climbs, the bigger their leaves naturally get. So while I'm a little bit not sure if I really do want my Monstera to get that big, at the same time I'm kind of curious to see how big I can get it within this space. There is no way this is gonna keep living in the corner of my dining room where it was living before. It's gonna have to live here because this is the only space left I have in my house for like a really big plant like this. So that's where it's gonna go. It's a little bit less light, but it's got even amounts of light coming from both sides. So I suppose that's gonna have to do, because I've got a window there and I've got a window there, and it's just gonna have to do with that amount of light. Monstera Deliciosa is generally low light tolerant as well. It probably won't grow as fast as it would if it was near or closer to a window, but it's just gonna have to do within this space. And I probably don't want it to grow super fast anyway, because I literally have nowhere else for this plant to go if it got even bigger than what it is now. So now I'm just gonna cut off those little extra bits on those zip ties. Oh, there's blood on that one. All right, so there we go. A moss pole, nice big one for my Monstera to climb up. Be careful with those pricks, guys. Those are actually so sharp. I'm just gonna press them in. Probably should have cut them off before I started, but that was the lazy part of me not doing that. All right, so there we go. One great big moss pole for that Monstera to climb up. So now, let's get the big star of the show out and let's examine its roots and let's see what's going on with this one. So I've needed to repot this Monstera, I think, for about 3 months now. The leaves just started looking a little bit peaked and just started declining. So, I mean, it's not looking terrible, but it's not looking the best that it could be. 2 years ago, this plant was in a 20 cm pot, and 2 years later, this is how big it is. It kind of has stopped growing, and that just really tells me that the condition of its soil isn't the best that it could be, or really the kind that it needs. So I'm gonna tip this out here, and let's see what it looks like inside. Just trying to really not damage any leaves here, but unfortunately I think the reality of doing a job like this is that some leaves are going to get damaged. Ooh. Oh, it's really stuck in there. Okay, wow. Look at this. Okay, first of all, I potted this Monstera up into this soil maybe like a year ago, maybe a little bit longer than that ago. And actually, no, it was more than a year ago. And this soil isn't fantastic. It was like not really premium grade potting mix. It's actually potting mix that is hydrophobic, which means that water didn't drain freely through it, which meant like the Monstera was already kind of maybe not really stunted, but not given the best growing conditions that it could have. So as you can see here, it was quite root bound at the bottom, not so much at the top. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna try and shake out as much of that poor soil as I can, but not like really disturb this part of the root ball. So I'm just gonna try and shake it out. As you can see, it's a very fine soil. The finer the soil, the less that your water is gonna drain through, which means the roots of the plant itself are kind of stunted because they can't breathe, they can't absorb the water because the water isn't draining through the soil properly. This is very, very dry. I have not watered this Monstera in a while. The last time I did water it, I put it through the shower, and I still don't think that water reached all the areas of the inside of the pot, just simply because of the type of soil that it's in. So I'm gonna put it in this much larger pot. Now I'm going to grab my container of potting mix. So if you guys want to see how I made this potting mix, I've got a video right here, one of the corners, and I'm going to link how I made this soil mix. It's a mixture of a few different mediums. It's very chunky, it's very airy, but essentially what I've got in it is listed right here. I'm going to edit it into the screen. There's really no ratios or anything. I just kind of eyeballed it the same way that I cook. I eyeball all my ingredients. So I'm gonna like partially fill the pot so that the steak isn't like all the way to the bottom. And now I'm gonna take that pole, stick it in there, just have it kind of like sitting at the back of the pot like this. Not quite in the center, I'm just gonna have it at the back. And now I'm gonna do the tricky thing and try and position this Monstera in there. Probably filled it up just that little bit too much. Position that Monstera in there. It's hard to do this with one person. There we go. Kind of like that. Actually, I might turn it around. I'm just thinking of how it's going to sit in my lounge room, and I want the bigger part of it to sit that way because the moss pole does define where the back of this plant is. All right, there we go. I think that's gonna have to do. Have it sitting like that, and then later on I'm gonna like attach it to the pole, like tie it up the pole. So there we go. I kind of feel like I have too much soil at the bottom. I'm gonna take out some of the soil at the bottom there. I want the Monstera to sit a little bit lower in the pot. This is gonna be really top heavy, so I'm gonna have to try and support it while I'm doing this. It's a one-woman show, guys. Ugh. It's a one-woman show. I'm also gonna tuck those aerial roots into the soil as well. Like, these aerial roots will eventually, over time, attach themselves to the pole. Well, they should in theory anyway. Now I'm gonna backfill the rest of the pot with that potting mix. With my trusty takeout container. Make sure that you're filling in all those air pockets, getting all that soil into the nooks and crannies where it's supposed to go. And then I'm gonna give this a really good water as well, because the roots of the Monstera were kind of dry. That was my bad for not watering it properly, and it was a combination of not watering it for a while and the soil that it was in, which wasn't fantastic. All right, what's next? Now I'm gonna pull the whole thing up. Now to tie it up, I'm gonna use some jute string, tie up one side at a time. So here we go. It's one of those plants that's like a little bit lanky, and it's kind of hard to wrangle around the pole, but it's just one of those things that you're just going to have to tie it up how you feel like it looks the best, I guess. It's kind of hard to do this from the back as well. I'm doing it from the back because I want you guys to be able to see the front. So I'm going to have to examine it from time to time from the front and see how it looks. I think in time these will also stop looking a little bit lanky and in time make itself at home on the pole. So at the moment it's looking very messy, I suppose is the word, for lack of a better word. This Monstera stopped growing leaves ages ago, and that's what told me that this, well, amongst other things, that's what told me, one of the things that told me that this plant really needed to be repotted. So it's had a little new pregnancy leaf bump for a little while on one of those larger stems, but it never emerged. So that is part of what told me that it really needed a new pot as well. So I think that's as far up as I can go with this one. I'll continue to tie it up the taller it gets, but for now that's as high up as I need to tie that one. Now let's do this big side. This is the bigger side. So let's see where I can tie this one to. Okay. Let's start at the base here, I think, and get it really attached to that pole. This is the thing, guys. Small plants become big, and this is the kind of jobs that we don't think about when we first start out with plant parenting. This plant was small when I got it, and now it's not small. But as our plants continue to grow, you know, we grow and learn along with them. If you're doing this and you feel like you're being a bit rough with it, you'll know its breaking point. Like it's actually quite malleable, the stems. It feels like I'm really manhandling the plant, but I really hate that word. Like, it feels like I'm being really rough with it, and I probably like am, but giving it a pole to climb up, it'll be really happy with that. So it'll pay off. I think that's as high up as I'm going to get that vine. I think I might tie one of these leaves to the pole as well. just to get it upright like this. If you guys want to hear all about Monstera care, I've got a whole video about it, and I'll leave that one linked in one of the info cards, and you guys can check that out if you wanted like a full video of just Monstera care. I do have one of those videos up on my channel already. All right, there we go. Oh, doesn't that look so much better? I should have done it before. Oh well. It's looking so much better already. All right, now I'm gonna put this in the shower and give it a really good wash down. Then I'll clean this up and then we'll finish off this video. All right, here we are. We made it to the end of the video. I don't really know what else to say other than ta-da! In time, this is gonna start to feel at home on the pole. It's gonna start to look a little bit more put together rather than thrown together kind of thing. I'm pretty sure in time the leaves are also going to start to pick up a bit and start to look a little bit more lively now that the roots have more space to grow out, and they're definitely watered. I watered this well and truly, watered it down in the shower, gave it a really good spray over with neem oil or eco oil, and then gave a really weak watered down solution of Thrive fertilizer. And yeah, that should set it up good to start growing better. The thing now with this larger pot is that it doesn't fit anymore into the white basket, like cover basket that it was sitting in previously. So I'm just gonna have to find a bigger pot now for it to live in, like cover pot. Anyway, maybe I have one. I bought one to sell on my shop, but I think I'm actually gonna use it in my house. Anyway, here we go. That's it. Ta-da. Hope you guys learned something in today's video. If not, at least enjoyed watching me struggle to repot this one. I also do need to repot my fiddle leaf fig, which I'm definitely not looking forward to because fiddle leaf figs are fussy, and I'm so scared that it's gonna decline once I repot it. I've never actually repotted it in the 2 years that I've had it, so that's gonna be an interesting one. Well, wish me luck with that one. I'm not gonna do it today because I don't actually have a bigger pot. This is my last big nursery pot, so I'm gonna do a Bunnings run today, grab a few things, and maybe repot it later today and film that one as well. So thanks guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give the video a thumbs up if you did, and let me know what other kind of videos that you would like to see, and I will film them if I can. Thanks for spending your time here with me today. I appreciate you. Please subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye. I've actually got this available in my online store. I've decided to just use it for myself rather than sell it, because why not? They come in sets of 3, large, medium, and small. So if you're in the Bendigo area and you are keen on grabbing one of these for yourself, then come check me out. They're not actually on the website just yet. I haven't gotten around to putting them up there yet. I might just sell them on my Instagram, which if you aren't following my Instagram, it's that Foliage Life, same as my YouTube channel. Ooh, that's a big one. There we go. It's huge now. And really, really heavy. Which isn't really conducive to well draining water through. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm not saying it properly. But does it make sense? Ugh.